I would say everything is all tied into childhood. Everything that I do. When I was doing the Deviant Moon, I actually at one time went back to my old school, sat in the parking lot in the supermarket across the street, and just faced my school and just kind of let the vibes of it come back in, and it just came back out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tarot Podcast. Today, I could not be more delighted to have as the guest on our show Patrick Valenza. And if you don't know Patrick, he is the creator of the wonderful, spooky, weird, quirky, bizarre Deviant Moon Tarot, which is a great favorite within the tarot community. And we're here to talk a little bit about how the Deviant Moon came about and your journey with it. And and at the end we'll do a little reading. But I think what's special to me about Deviant Moon, and I love this deck so much. I have a couple copies of it as well as the book and your other deck, Trionfi della Luna. One of the things about it that I love is that it really feels like it grew organically out of your own whole life stories. This is kind of part of who you are, as I understand it. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the genesis of the imagery in this deck.
Oh, thanks for having me, Susan. It's great to be here. Nice to see you again.
Great to see
We've
you.
met many times at the
Yes.
Reader Studio, so this is great to catch up, especially since we missed out on last year. But it's good to see you, and thanks again. The genesis for the deck started when I was about 8 or 9, in either 1975 or 1976. I can't remember which year. Um, I was walking in the mall with my parents, and the mall was a regular Long Island suburban mall, but it had a back annex that was kind of styled in a Tudor fashion. So it was like a little darker. It was offbeat, hidden path, and it was really cool down there. I wish it was at the Roosevelt Field Mall in Long Island, and the area was called La Petite Mall. Sounds like a seizure, but, yeah, bad marketing there, but it was a great little area if anyone from the area remembers it. Long torn down, unfortunately. But we were walking down there, and it just gave you such a vibe to be in this like little medieval kind of Tudory area. And at the end of it was a little stationery store, and we just happened to go into the stationery store, and there on in one of the back shelves on an aisle were a whole collection of cards that I didn't know what those things were. All I knew that there was the coolest thing I ever saw in my life was little like the fool. It was, I didn't know what the characters were at the time. They had the fool, the magician, whatever it was. And I was used to playing cards because my grandparents were avid card players, so I always would study the playing cards, the kings, the queens, and all that. So I didn't know what in the world these things were. And we left, and it didn't leave my mind. My aunt was very Woodstocky at the time, and a hippie or whatever. And she told me all about that. They were called tarot cards, and they're really cool. And she had a little book about them, and I was fascinated. So I begged my parents to take me back to that mall and get me a pack of those tarot cards. And they thought I was crazy. What does a 8 or 9 year old want with a deck of tarot cards? But I was persistent, and they finally gave in. They took me back there, and I got a deck, and I couldn't wait to get it open. It was the JJ Swiss deck at the
The
time.
one JJ, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, the one JJ. And I ripped it open, couldn't wait, and then I loved the artwork, and I saw that it was in French. And
Oh no.
for me, it, it it wouldn't have mattered to another kid that they just wanted to see the artwork, but for me, I really wanted to study what these were. So I wanted to know everything about them. So I got my father to take me back to the store, and we traded it for the classic tarot, the one that Stuart Kaplan first put out. The artwork wasn't anywhere near as nice as the Swiss deck, but at least I
Was
could
it
understand.
a Marseille type deck, the classic, or
Yeah, they
was?
were Marseille,
Hmm.
which also
Yeah.
disappointed me because I thought the whole thing was going to be illustrated with all these characters, and then I would get to like the wands, and it was like three, two, one, get me to the next group.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was a kid, and I really wanted to illustrate the rest of the deck. I wanted to see what the two of wands would look like, and um, then I was introduced by my aunt again to the Coleman Smith deck, and where it was all illustrated, and that was it. I was just fascinated, and I studied them and studied them, and While all my friends were drawing Spider-Man and the Hulk or whatever it was, I was drawing tarot characters. I made my own fool, and even as a kid, at maybe about 10 years old, I started to make decks, started making decks, and I have fragments of what survived, over the years, but most of it's gone. And then I continued studying, and it got me really into drawing. And um, when I was about 15, I saw somewhere where they had religious iconography from Russia, all illuminated and with the gold ornate all around it. Someone said sumptuous illuminations. So thought, with that concept, I want to make my own tarot deck. I'm 15. I could draw a little bit better. I could paint a little bit better. So I tried to make my own version of something like that, where I would paint it with metallic gold. And that was where the Deviant Moon started. And I illustrated 13 of those cards over the next 3 years, I think it was. But I fell out with them and, moved on to other things. And then life came around and I was getting close to 40 and I hadn't done anything with my art. I always drew, but I would create something and then put it away, make something else, put it away. Like I didn't put it out there into the world. But I was almost 40 and it was getting older. And I said, you know what? I really need to focus on one single thing. And I said, what could that be? Because I have super ADHD for art. I'm bouncing constantly to this day. I can't stay focused. But I said, let me focus on one thing. Let me go get those old 13 tarot cards I did when I was a teenager, and let me now pull them into, at the time, the modern world where I can digitalize them and use Photoshop to put textures in, and let's see how it looks now. Let's see how it would look now. So I went and I literally just retraced the old drawings. I really didn't change much. And at the time I was really interested in urban exploration, and I was going into some of the abandoned asylums here on Long Island. At the time there were three or four at the time that were still standing. And so I was taking thousands and thousands of photographs and really getting into the vibe of
Yeah.
the
They're so
abandoned.
creepy.
I love it. I would never go in them anymore. Don't go in those, kids. But
Yeah.
it was fun. Taking a lot of pictures of it. So I said, what if I take the photography, all of the textures, and just start molding and bending and twisting. And the next thing you know, I had the first digital card, and I didn't know how to react to it. I'm like, do I really want to do this for 78, 77 more things? It took forever to do it. And I really, at the time, didn't know too much about what I was doing. I was new to Photoshop. It was the first, computer graphic kind of thing that I was doing. So I didn't know if I had the ability to do the whole thing. And I just kept going, and you start to get better and better and better. And then the next thing you know, it was like a second skin. It was just
Yeah.
so easy to produce them. And they started just going one after the other. I only had one card that had an alternate, one card that I didn't like. But a lot of the imagery just literally came to me, especially after I recreated the first 13 cards I made. It just was like a breeze to just go through it. It took 3 years to do it.
Although it was sort of like incubating inside you for like your whole
Yeah,
life.
that exactly. Like the ideas just came. Like I would be just, sleeping, not even thinking about it, and the
Yeah.
a whole card would just literally materialize. There it is. Okay, great. We got tomorrow's work cut out for us, and
Can you
we just
can you say
started.
a little bit about like the characters, the Deviant Moon citizens? I think you call them. Where do
Yeah.
they come from? How do they seem so fully realized?
Well, the first the major arcana had nothing to do with the moon. It was more based on Greek stylized characters on the antiquity. I like the flat faces, stylized, almost abstracted. Um, and then when the miners came around, the characters just started to become more lunar looking. And I had no name for the deck until literally like the day before I sent my proposition to US Games. I had no name. I had never had a name for it, but the name came after the evolution of the miners. They just, like I said, just started getting more lunar looking, and
Yeah.
it just kind of fell together perfectly, I guess.
Yeah. Now, you had always kind of drawn characters like this through your whole life, though, right?
Yeah, pretty weird
Mm-hmm.
characters, and actually the reason um, I started drawing like that was because I had a really great art teacher in ninth grade. It's a long story, but I had a really great art teacher
Yeah.
who, at a pivotal time, if he was like other art teachers that I've
Mm-hmm.
had, I would have worked in an insurance company. He just said certain things, and like I said, it's a long story, but he gave me the confidence the first time ever to pursue something. And what I mean by that is I never considered myself an artist. Even today I don't. I have a lot of ideas, too many ideas, unfortunately. And art was just something that I was encouraged with younger, that it kind of took that direction. And over time, I started to build up the skills to be able to get my ideas out there. But I could have easily become a writer or an actor or a musician. It could have went any way. But at that
Yeah.
particular time when I was in ninth grade, I had, like I said, a great art teacher, and then it just went that way. And another thing, what I mean by that is I wasn't the best drawer in the class.
Mm-hmm.
There were kids that drew beautifully,
Mm.
but their ideas I always thought sucked. Like they were drawing what they were told, and I would draw what I thought. So it made
Yeah.
it a lot different.
Yeah.
And for example, is I had a friend in the class who drew hands really well. I mean, they were really nice. My hands were terrible. So I said, you know what? Why don't I just go with that? Why don't I, if I want to make a finger longer, I'm going to make the finger longer. If I want to make them curl, and let's just keep going. And then the next thing you know, things started to get elongated. And I really became abstracted and stylized at a young age. And that's how my style kind of developed like that. I wasn't really worried about realism, but I'm trying to make the elongations as realistic as I could. And I've never achieved it. So it was like a weird blend of realistic and stylization, and it just became my own style, you know?
Yeah. I have never seen any characters quite like yours in any other deck. I've seen you see decks that are fantasy decks that have kind of a similar style, or you see decks that are like the Marseille, but yours is like totally you, right? And I wonder if there's like, a world that you see in your mind that you are basically just trying to capture, or if it just sort of, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine. Is there a like world of the Deviant Moon that has places and interactions and relationships within it that's inside you?
I don't know. It just comes out. Like
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't really think about it. If I think about it, it doesn't come out.
Right.
So I just let it be what it's going to be. And I would say everything is all tied into childhood. Everything that I do, every little character world that I have put out in various decks, they all tie in, but it's all goes back to the age when I first discovered the tarot cards. There was just a certain kind of time in my life. So when I was doing the Deviant Moon, I actually at one time went back to my old school, sat in the parking lot in the supermarket across the street, and just faced my school and just kind of let the vibes of it come back in, and it just came back out. I repositioned at the time my art room, where it was a corner of a bedroom at the time, to kind of resemble the setup that I had as a kid, with a desk behind the bed, a certain thing by the window, playing music from that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the worst music you can ever
Yeah. What did
imagine,
you listen to then?
like sappy 70s love songs, the Partridge Family, anything really corny from back then. You would think, oh, you're
Yeah.
doing this weird artwork, and what are you listening to? Something crazy? No, it was like the most
I remember a lot of that music. It was
yeah,
really sappy.
yeah, bad, the worst music you could possibly think of. But that's what the music was in my childhood in the 70s. So
Yeah.
it pulls something out of your subconscious. I really do believe in the power of subconsciousness, and if you could tap into some kind of vibe into that. Things just come out naturally. Like, how do you dream at night? You don't plan
Yeah.
all that stuff. You don't think about it. It just happens. So if you can find ways to make that happen in your own head, especially when you're using your imagination, get out of your own way and just kind of just loosen up and let things happen as they happen. You'd be surprised what can come out.
I think that's very wise. So you started thinking about this at the age of 8 with your first tarot deck. I think it's fair to say that's unusually early, even in our community. So let's talk a little bit. You touched on it a bit, but let's go into a little more detail about how you actually produce the images. So you had these 13 from when you were young, but then as you were filling out the deck, so it was a combination of sketching and Photoshop. And how did that all work out for you?
I had literally thousands of photographs of rusted pipes and doors and windows. And at the time, I was starting to play around a little bit. Like, oh, let me make a window person. Let me make this kind of guy. And it was very, if you saw them now, they'd be very dated, very like 2000 looking, very, very old fashioned. And I said, well, I'm not a painter, and I have this computer, and I didn't want to just draw it on paper and then just scan it and there it is. I said, let me do what I'm doing now. I'm playing with architectural parts. Let me put things together. How would it work if I made a person's boots out of that tombstone or something like that? What would it look like? I had no idea what I was doing, literally. And just playing around with it. And
Were
the
you
first
playing with a stylus or just
no, it
just
was
sketching?
the mouse.
Oh, with the mouse? Wow.
Everything on the Deviant Moon is done with a mouse. Every thing. I didn't know Wacom, Cintiq, none of that stuff. I have everything now. And it's harder now than it was when I did it with a mouse.
It's funny. I was talking to Benabel Wen, and she did her deck with a mouse too, and she said she was constantly getting tendonitis because it's hard to do.
That.
You too?
Oh yeah, I had 4 hand surgeries, and I'm not the same after all that. I had the carpal and whatnot, but yeah. So that's how I did it.
Wow. Well, and all using Photoshop.
Yeah, it was just Photoshop. I would sketch it on paper first, scan it, and so then I had like something to overlay the shapes, and then I would form them and then shade them in, and it was really tedious to do.
Yeah, and you also used the textures like from the building photographs as like the textures of their skin, right?
Everything in the entire deck is a texture of something, from vacuum cleaner parts, an old oil filter that I saw on the street. I just started taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
But everything's a picture of something put in
crazy.
there. And
it
had like literally thousands of layers to get this thing done.
Wow. That's incredible. So, okay, so let's talk about, this is question number 3. Did you experience any weird synchronicities or unusual phenomena while you were putting this deck together?
It in a different way. It opened up memories, childhood memories that I didn't have before. It really did.
Really?
That I forgot about, like people I forgot about, events I forgot about, and I have a really, really good long-term past memory. Forget it. If you tell me to go to the store and get butter, I'll say, what did you? I don't remember what you just said. But long-term, I really had a good memory, and I had things that I didn't even think about. You would actually get not only the memory, but you get the feeling too, because you really had to pull your subconscious back into that time period. And I think that was the biggest thing.
Yeah. Can you think of a particular example?
Sure. I had an idea when I was in 2nd grade about something I called a skeleton book. And I forgot I even made this thing, but I did make it. And it was a little book that I made about these skeletons that broke out of a cemetery, and they climb over the fence at night, and they go around town and doing all kinds of crazy things. And I totally forgot that I even made this. And then I forgot that I gave it to my grandfather for his birthday. And I forgot that when I was about 13, I raided his coat closets in his bedroom to try to find it. Well, he didn't even know I was in there, just looking. He's got to have this book, and I never found it. I forgot all about that. But in building the deck, there were certain aspects that just pulled out that old memory,
Yeah.
and because of that, I want to actually make the skeleton book now.
Oh, I hope you do.
I want to. It's going to take forever, and that's going to be all photographic manipulations of the tombstones that of the photos that I've taken now. So I'll have real tombstone people and the little world it's cool. So I have the idea. Now it's just the getting it out
Are
there.
you thinking of it as a kid's book
Uh,
or
kids kids book for
whatever that
adults.
is?
Just make it and
Yeah.
just see where it goes. Whatever audience picks it up, they pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so. Did you do a lot of projects like that when you were little?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of them. So a lot of them are in the Deviant Moon companion book. I have a
Yeah.
couple of little stories. I mean, I always used to do that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I used to write plays, and I played a lot. I played a lot with toys, like a lot. So I really attribute a lot of my imagination, playfulness to being a kid and playing with toys, like just playing, having fun adventures, and um, yeah. So I hope to get some more of that back, as an
Yeah.
adult.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. So, do you happen to remember what card or what suit you were working on when that skeleton book idea came back into your mind?
I don't remember particularly because the
Mm-hmm.
memory just took over, but it
Yeah.
probably had something to do with one of the characters
Mm-hmm.
or one of the scenes. I couldn't remember which, or just playing. I guess maybe with there's a lot of winged skull,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
18th century tombstone iconography in.
It's fascinating what they put on those tombstones, isn't it?
Oh, I
This
love them.
whole vocabulary.
I love it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just that's just an art form in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, my
Always
uncle used
amazed.
to do rubbings of those, 18th century, 19th
That's
century
so cool.
tombstones, and they're
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah.
they are. They really are cool.
So, okay. So, question number 4. Tell me the story behind one card in your deck. You choose whichever one you'd like.
The first card I ever did was the Fool, and the reason uh, I can think of it offhand, when I first started making the deck when I was 15, I didn't really know how to paint so good. I was more of a drawer, a drafts person. I would draw, and painting was never. I was never good at it. So I wanted sumptuous illuminations for my tarot deck. I wanted it to be hand painted like the old decks, and I didn't know how to do it. So it was a test, more or less, of anything else to see if I could do it, and I did it. I look at it now and I'm like, oh my god!
What kind
But
of paints did you use?
it was acrylic, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just cheap craft paint.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's held up. It's still pretty vibrant. Um, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do it. I kind of treated it like watercolor and just really took my time, and
Yeah.
and I was able to do it, and I was really surprised at it. And then from there, I went on to make 12 more. And the same thing happened when I went digital in 2004 for the Deviant Moon. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make the Fool now digital. I have these ideas. Maybe I can try. Is it going to come out like junk, or is it going to come out good? And it worked. At first, when I looked at it, though, it came out good, but I was like, I don't know. Maybe one card. That took forever. But if it wasn't for that initial start, like the Fool, you take the journey to the unknown, and you just kind of go with it and see where life takes you. And that's exactly what happened in both cases.
Okay, so now we get to do a reading. I feel like I need some, I don't know, some free form guidance from the tarot about how to, if there's a better way to focus my energies or somehow make more time out of nothing or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw a card from your deck, the Deviant Moon, and maybe you can help me interpret this in terms of my, need to understand how to better manage my time.
Okay, let's go.
All right, let's go. Okay, I'm going to shuffle, 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 think about my question, think about the million things I got to do. but wanting to do them all, and they're all interesting. All right, this one looks like it's pretty keen to go, so let's have a look at this. What is it? Aha! It is the Nine of Wands. That seems kind of appropriate to me. I don't know. What do you think?
It's perfect. You know, you're at a spot where, you know, you're looking back at all that you had to go through to get to where you are, but you're really not looking, even though you have a lot more to do. The way out is really close. I mean, just keep going, doing what you're doing, and eventually you'll get there.
I like this. I really like this card because it captures both the kind of exhaustion of a typical Knight of Wands, but also a little bit of the resilience and the hope with it. Can you say a little bit about like your decision? You have like 8 wands in back, and then you have this one special wand in front that's kind of a torch. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, he's got 8 broken wands leading up to the way out, but he's not looking at it that way. He's just thinking about the 8 broken wands that were broken probably from his ordeal to get to the plateau that he's on now.
Yeah.
But one of those is still ignited, meaning that he really hasn't given up or shouldn't give up. And that, you know, just press on a little more, couple more steps. You still have some hoops to go through, but the exit is at the very top, the way out. The sky is there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, I was just looking at your book, and I think, if I'm correct, I think I noticed this one because you told a little story about asking your son to pose for the feet.
Yeah, he did the feet. That's another thing. Well, most of the limbs are either my hand or my kids. My kids were kids at the time. They're old. But yeah, he posed for his feet. I think he was
Yes.
8 or 9. I don't even
Yeah, and
remember.
you said in the book that he didn't want to do it, but you said you'd get him some art supplies.
Get him art supplies. I actually got him ice cream that day, I think.
Wow. Is he also an artist?
Yeah, he is. He actually
That's
is.
amazing. Yeah. How about the cool mask on the face? What's up with that?
Well, he's a bird, really. His cloak is. He's got wings, but he can't fly because he's in the middle of the labyrinth. There's really no room to spread those wings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So eventually, though, he will get out of the labyrinth that he's in. And I think in the book, I did a rough illustration of him, wings spread, and he's flying. And he's got those feet dangling in the background. He finally made it free, but you got to go through a little more. That's exactly what.
So the sketch that you did, was that something you did sort of like as you were making the card or after you made the card, or was it just...
It was probably after. I don't remember how long after, but
Yeah.
I think there was a couple instances where I wanted to see the after effect, like what happened next. And actually in the Deviant Moon Oracle that's coming out, there are a couple of cards that are continuations of the particular character. So you get to see them in another instance a little bit.
Neat. So thank you. That was really helpful. And I also want to plug your book of the Deviant Moon Tarot again, because it's really so beautiful. I know it was a real labor of love. I think you said it took 3 years to write
3
this
years.
book.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When US Game contacted me, they said, "How long do you think it will take you?" I said, 3 months. It's not 3 months. I really meant it. I'm always like that. I always think it's going to take. I'm so bad at judging time.
What is time, right? What is time?
3 years. And it was hard for me because I'm not a writer. So it was like word sculpting every sentence together.
But it's fascinating. It's beautiful. I love seeing all of these sort of additional images that arose around the Deviant Moon or preceded the Deviant Moon from when you were younger. It's really a beautiful chronicle of the deck. And of course, people get a little white book or a big white book with their decks. This is different. This is, really your artistic vision. And I think anyone who loves the deck really ought to have the book as well, because it's very special.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Patrick. It was great talking to you, as always. And guys, there are links in the show notes to pick up all of these fantastically beautiful creations that Patrick has put so much of his life and talent into. And I think you should go right away and pick them up for yourself.
No,
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.